Alright guys, we have another grad setup, but before we jump into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Alright, so today we'll be working on this white acrylic backdrop. This is from a local vendor that I rented from, well, I helped the client rent from. Usually I play like the liaison between the two because it's just easier. Most clients don't know, other vendors in the area, so I usually help them find like local vendors who have backdrops and things like that, and it's much easier for me. And I use vinyl. Everything is Cricut that I use for the vinyl. I don't play and dabble into like special other brands because I just don't have time to vet it and like see if it works. I'd rather just use all the Cricut products just so I don't have to have too many problems. But anyway, I'm building using clusters of 8 balloons with a quad of 4 balloons attached. On this setup, I really wanted to make sure that I like step back as much as I can because I really wanted to play with the shapes a little bit more. It's been a while since I like really was like playing and dabbling to different shapes. I feel like I've been just doing the setup and like getting in and out as quick as possible, and I haven't been doing too much of shaping. So I was really excited to do that for this setup. And right now I'm building the H method on the backdrop, and I will zoom in so you guys can see what it looks like. I have the 260 in between the clear transparent tape, and then I just build it, tape around it. And I will leave a link in the description box of the clear transparent tape. And then from there, I'm just going to build a little bit more up top. For this section, I didn't use any clusters that had any 16-inch balloons. I only used clusters that had 11-inch balloons because it was a little tight. The ceiling was very low. Even where we had to put the backdrop, we was almost not able to use it because the area we were originally supposed to use the backdrop, the ceiling was too short, so there was like space areas in the venue or the room we was using where you can see a cutout and the ceiling is a little higher, so we had to place the backdrop underneath there for it to actually fit inside the room we were using for the setup. So that's what we did here. And I decided because of that as well that I was going to do, well, I was already deciding to do the setup with like breaking it up in pieces and not one big garland. So I'm doing 2 on this side, like 2 small pieces, and then on the other side I will be doing another 2 small pieces and doing some shaping like that. I actually love the shaping of this bottom right one. If you, I guess, rewind it back and I end up messing it up because I was like adding on a cluster. Sometimes when you have a shape and you adding another cluster, unless you know exactly how the shape was, then okay, you can fix it back. But when I'm adding it neck to neck, and sometimes I can mess up my own shape if I'm not stepping back and really looking at it and seeing if I liked it beforehand. So that's what happened with the bottom right. It still came out great, alhamdulillah, but it was not the original shape that I loved when I was watching it back editing, and I'm like, ugh, that shape was so good, but I'm so mad I messed it up when I was adding on a cluster and they lost the shape, and I never stepped back to realize that. But anyway, I'm doing another H method in the front, and that way the balloons are not falling to the back, because I also was using, well, there were some clear adhesive hooks already on the back of the backdrop, so that was great. I was able to use those. But for the front, so the balloons don't move, I was doing the H method on the front of the acrylic backdrop, so that was great. It didn't damage anything. I actually did this before. If you've seen one of my other tutorials from last year, it was the same backdrop. I think it was for the little cutie pie is on the way, and there was no damage to that either. So I love that tape for that reason. And here I'm just building out the bottom piece, and I'm just adding the clusters and quads where I need them at. And then I had some, as you can see on the floor, like you see some clusters and you see some quads, because when I inflate, I pretty much inflate based on the color palette and what's primary, what's secondary, and what's an accent color. And for this palette, the dark purple and the gold was actually the primary color. So those two colors had the equal amount inflated. So when I say equal amount, say this was a, I forgot what I charged for this. I'm not sure. I think it was, I charged for a 24-foot. So let's say I inflated maybe 9 clusters of purple and nine clusters of the dark purple and 9 clusters of the gold, and then the remaining what's that, like 6 clusters was of the light purple, because that's how I pretty much in my head, that's how I'm going to design the color palette. So every color doesn't get the same amount of inflation. It all depends on what's the primary color, what's the secondary color, and what's the accent color. And sometimes it's easier to identify the color palette when the client maybe send an invitation over, or they show you like we using these linens and things like that, and you can identify like, okay, this is the primary color here. Or sometimes they all may be primary colors, and then there's sometimes like it's easier to identify when it's like a black, white, and silver, and sometimes silver is the accent color, and they'll let you know like this is a black and white event and we doing like, you know, hint of gold. They say hint of something, I usually know, okay, that's the accent color. If they use like, because most of the time they don't use the same language, so they may just say hint, we doing a hint of white, or we doing a hint of yellow. When they say hint, I know that they mean that they're doing accent color of that. So that's how I usually inflate. So if we have a 3-color design, then I always try to pick like, okay, what's going to be the primary color and what's going to be the secondary color, and then what's going to be the accent color. Sometimes you have like 2 main colors, a secondary color, and then an accent color. And sometimes you may even have like 4 or 5 colors. One may be a darker color, one may be. So anyway, it can go on and on. But this is how I, in my head, this is how I know, okay, how much I'm inflating for this color and how much am I inflating for that color. That's something I determine when I'm already at home and pre-inflating all of my balloons. So here I took that purple off on the left side because I wasn't feeling it too much, and I ended up moving it at the bottom. That bottom right was my favorite shape. It was just giving like a little silhouette, like to the, like I'll just see like somebody's foot just kicking out, like it was so cute. Like it was just nice and pointy. It wasn't doing too much. Like, is it me, or I be having like favorite shapes in a design? Like one design I may have like a favorite part and like, oh, I love how that looked. Like I'm not feeling that too much, but that left bottom side, sorry, the left bottom side was like my favorite part of this whole set. That and the right top, yeah, those two was like, they was giving the same vibe, so I was feeling those. The opposites was more like on the chunkier side, but the right top and the left bottom, I was feeling those a lot. They was really giving, they was giving it. But yeah, so I guess we just talked about a little bit of color palettes and how I determine how much I'm going to inflate when it comes to a setup. And it really goes into show, like, it really helps a lot when it comes to purchasing inventory as well, because sometimes I can, once I know what color is primary, secondary, or accent, I can look inside my inventory and I'm like, ooh, do I have enough of that color already? Okay, because I don't need that much. I can just use leftovers. Like every job doesn't need you to buy, every job don't require a new set of balloons. If you have leftovers from another from a past client, then that's perfect, because then now you're making more profit and you're spending less on inventory. There's plenty of jobs. I just had a job last week where I didn't have to buy nothing but 2 36-inch balloons. It was a helium job, but I only had to buy 2 36-inch balloons, literally 2 balloons, like 1, 2, because they come in singles, you know, so 1, 2, that's it. Everything else I already had. So we love the profit jobs. But this is the final setup, you guys. I hope I didn't ramble too much, but it's always a pleasure speaking with you guys and just sharing information. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.